All right, rushing in here right now to get it at start this one at 6:22. I actually looked down and wasn't planned, but hey, I don't know if I made it. But anyways, we are here, and just wanted to come in and sit down with you a little bit today. Finally got out here, you know. Finally got out here to this beach. I'm ready to get this sunset in right now. It's pretty casual. It's pretty casual. I had some interesting people along the way, and finally get to go ahead and sit down and had to actually had set up a little bit, not close to this close to the water, but then somebody set it right up under me there, and I just want some peace. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. But I wanted to go ahead and come on in. I guess this is our Friday here before it's Labor Day. It's Labor Day weekend. And as he said, to be like water, be like water. Be like water. Because it can crash. Or it could just flow. Float. So floated on down here today to go ahead and like soak it in. And along the way, well, it wasn't really along the way. It's actually, like everyone, there is no, I'm not going to say there is no past or future. There's only the present, which is true. But because we did have some years up underneath, a memory up underneath our belt, everything, we do have a present day past, and we also have a present day future and everything, in which we're probably working on that. So many people live just for the now, and the now is to be now and present, yes, but just not for the moment, because a lot of things come back to haunt us and everything, even our memories, or even what it is not even our memories. What it is our higher self. Okay, our higher self. Even though we lock her up in a closet, throw them in there with all the bones and everything, and we don't want nothing to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Shut up. We're gonna do it any damn way. We all been through all that type of stuff, and a lot of them are banging on the door. It's not even the answers just banging on the door. It's our own higher self banging on the door and saying, it really, it's about that time and everything. These doors are going to open up regardless, because it's just our. See, on top of things, we're talking about the third eye on the forehead, and went on to the pineal gland, and the pine apple. You know what I'm saying? And most words that we have right now, especially 3-letter words, see, because 3-letter words are really the roots in which the words actually generated from, and whether it be in Ivrit, Hebrew, that of Arabia, of even if we go to use a sign, as I was going to look at that inside of it's not Mandarin, it's simplified Chinese language. No, it's not even simplified, but in the Chinese lettering, it's not fully Mandarin though. It's I can forget the name right now, the actual style, but in the Chinese letters, the characters and so forth, even the characters themselves, one character will actually produce, a word, you know what I'm saying? And then 2 characters, and then 3 characters, and then you see 4 characters together and everything. And so in that essence, that's how we kind of like built up, one word, 1 letter, 2 letters, 3 letters. but over there was much different because it had like a concept. It's a whole concept even within one letter, and which we'll hit on one of those today. And so it's a lot going into, say for instance, to be in the now, even to be in the now, to be present of, looking at even what it was, it was even in the sands of in the Arabiya, I believe it's even in the Quran. It talks about writing in the sand, the letters in the sand and so forth, and yeah. So that's even right now, what I'm saying? I wasn't even tripping on that part right there, but I forgot where I was going. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll get back on point here to getting back here to Labor Day. And I know why I was going there, because that's really around the subject, the whole, there's many subjects within the subject matter, but that's where I was going, with this Labor Day, right? So this Labor Day and everything, it actually, it's actually a breakdown of two words. There we go. We can come right back in it. Break down to two words. One is la, the feminine. So we see feminine, la, and then we also see bore. And see bore, and we see this on this thing right here all day long. On this thing right here all day long. When we go and look up the pig, what do we see? We see a pink pig, right? And we see a brown boar, right? And so this Labor Day, first of all, we could just look at it in the feminine aspect, okay? We can look at it as a feminine boar, okay? We could look at it like that, right? Even when we go ahead and look at, because they're both come up underneath the pig or the hog, when we look it up on these phones and everything, that I'm not even going to say emojis anymore, even though Emoji Day was what, again, July 17th, Emoji Day? Well, which is the same day, again, of week before Tammuz, but that's in the Hebrew month. Tammuz is the 17th. But then that of Jian Matsuri is also July 17th. And so within that, the pink part of the pig is what I was talking about. What we are usually utilizing to speak it out is our mouth. And so the P in Ivrit is the mouth. The mouth, and if we go mouth ink, then this is what we're doing right now. This is what I'm doing right now. This is mouth ink that I'm even talking about. So that pink and pig, and that's part of a pronoun, prerogative, right? Interrogative, and a gerund, which are parts of speech, right? And so this is pink pig. So even with the goal, so there's feminine inside of there. Well, I'm not going to say feminine, but because we associate the color pink to feminine is the reason why I'm saying that. All right? And so then with the labor, so that right there is feminine, and it goes into a brown. Okay, with the boar, as they have the brown there, you know what I'm saying? And this day is really yad in Hebrew, in Ivrit, which means the hand, okay? Inside of that of astronomy, they call yad the finger of God, okay? So the finger of God, but see, in Ivrit, with the Jews and everything, they don't mention the word God. They say G/D. So if we're going to go ahead and using the finger of God in that aspect, because even the Kohanim, the stars and everything, which we're talking about, even come from And then even earlier, everyone has different names for them. Under the Dendura, astrology. That again, going over to India and the Vedic astrology. And Arabia is going to have different names and everything too. So, but being that this is based, I'm not going to say basically, but a lot of the words were translated, and especially even over inside of the Ethiopia, and it comes back into the Quran as Li also. Okay, Ali. They just put the Li instead of it. One of the letters over there is Li. It's a whole family of letters. Okay, so back to this one right here, where we just go the English and the general, the Hebrew, which they translated to. So that word God is actually spelled G-A-W-D. Okay, basically, but because we are talking in the Hebrew, or even that of we'll just go with the Hebrew right now, and we're going to go ahead and take the G/D, which is going to bring us what? 7-4. And 7-4. See, the numbers we're working with today. It'll be 913. Number 9. Okay. 55. Just for the, we're talking about the hand, right? We are both 55. You feeling me? Okay, 55, right? So, regardless, we're still gonna break it down. So that it's still even when they take the O out of God, it leads us to 7-4, and then when we go with the feminine, okay, in order to bring things into the existence and so forth, then we have to go ahead and multiply that 9 times 74, and it's gonna bring us back to what? Are 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. You see what I'm saying? And whether or not they took it out for a slash, now we could look at it as 7 minus 4, which backs down to what? 3. It's a magic number, so we still need the monad, the duad, which is feminine, and then we're going to have the triad, and that's going to bring right back us to the story again. Okay, not to the story, but to the main hump-ness, the main cycle or circle. Okay, I got to go this way because I'm going backwards on that one. I'm trying to go counterclockwise. So if I'm doing it wrong, know that I'm going counterclockwise is what I'm trying to do, okay? Counterclockwise. And using the finger of God. Alright? And it blew me away. In so many instances and everything, because when we go inside of this spiral and everything, which is still now, yet looking through the waves of time, okay? Looking through the waves of time, as even I listened to, and I put up one of the, she's talking right now, Mama T, with Magic, with that Radiohead Magic, Black Magic 333, and she was talking about Tiamat, being beforehand and so forth. And even inside of that, word itself, you have the word tia, which is Spanish for auntie, okay, or aunt, as people might say, you know what I'm saying? So you got tia, and then you got mat. Mat is that of calculation. That's math, okay? That's math. As we would say mat or either Tom, and then Tom is going to take us back to Tamil, which even over in India, okay, or in Sri Lanka, when they do go into the temple, it is called a math, which is the temple, which ends up being the body. You see what I'm saying? So the temple that of of our higher self, which is the heaven, and that of our lower self, this bodily temple, is all in sync. And again, that's what we wrestle with most of the time. And then when we get into the collective consciousness and reflect, the collective consciousness don't do so much shit. But when we start reflecting it, that's when their higher conscious goes in and starts eating them up and saying, "Oh, I hate that motherfucker." Okay. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And so going back through these, going over the ice walls, just look at them as like the ice walls, okay, that we know that we're surrounded by. So going over these ice walls within time, which is emit, T-I-M-E is M-E-I-T in Hebrew, which is the truth, okay? That's T-R-O-O-T-H. And the reason why I'm going to use O-O is because that's ayin. Ayin. It is not looking like an eye. With the focus of the eye itself, like the CBS eye itself, that is the circumference of the shape of the outside of the eye. But the eye itself is round. It's round. So for this, and that's what the real actual letter looked like. It's totally circle, a 360 circle, just like the eyeball itself. So we can't count the socket of the eye, okay? You can't count the socket of the eye. This is just the shape. The eyeball itself is round. All right? It's round. And this is also the same shape of the letter Ayin, And so with that right there, we'll go a little bit further. As I was sitting up here, going through everything that's been put before me within this period of time of Quan, which is contemplation, at the same time, Quan is that of when Bruce Lee went ahead and created Jeet Kune Do, right? Jeet Kune Do. Kun is a derivative from the word Quan inside of Chinese. Inside of Chinese and everything. Sinology, right? And that root actually comes from respect. The way this one is many different than that, but the one I looked at because it paralleled something else inside of my life. First, we have Quan, which is contemplation, right? And I believe that one's spelled with a K, maybe. This one right here is spelled with a Q. So Q-U-A-N, and it means respect to an older brother in China. And when I listened to he's old enough to be my father. Older than my father. No, not older than my father, but he's old enough to be my father. That's for sure. 1940, And how I said this was come back to 13s because he'd actually be 85 years old right now. And if we go ahead and reduce that back down, even right now, that'd be the 13. Okay? That'll be the 13, and we'll go ahead and reduce again, it goes to the 4, but we're just talking to the 13 right now. Don't trip on it. It is coming from the 4 because this is the forehead. Okay? That's what we're talking about, but we're keeping it in its form of 13 for that right now because I got some other stuff to stack with that. And so what I was looking at, because, pretty much, and everybody's going through it or have gone through it at one point in time in their life, whether, we became hoes, okay? Hoes, straight up hoes. And then we still got people that are still hoes, And, this is not along the lines of ho, 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 you know, Merry Christmas. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff at Christmas time that be popping. That's the reason why it's called ho, ho, ho's, okay? Okay? And, but being this Labor Day, going back to the Labor Day and the feminine part of it, la, all right? Labor. And what happens is, who does a lot of the work when the father is not there for whatever reason? Or vice versa, if the mother is not there and the feminine essence in the male has to go ahead and take up and be that feminine essence for his, you know, in the best way that he prepped himself to be, okay, for himself and for his children, okay? So we have to tap into our feminine also on these type of things, all right? And so when I was looking at that right there, going back even to Tiamat, as this is mother, no, this is actually, yeah, Earth is daughter Earth. Tiamat is mother, right? And it's even an auntie, even, you know, by Tia, right? And basically, so Labor Day itself is getting ready to, everybody's getting ready to go back to work, you know? Getting ready to go back to work and everything. And it's a lot of people don't necessarily want to go back to work. They rather have, you know, live life sovereignly. And it's not that we necessarily don't work as sovereigns, but not necessarily beating to the drum of the taskmaster of punching that clock, Chronos, you know? And we're also at the end of this month called August. All right? And there's an augmentation that's happening presently right now. There's an augmentation that's happening even with the Earth. There's an augmentation happening even with the DNA cells in which we are, which actually begin with the letters August, A-U-G. So it's Augstart methionine. Augstart methionine. This is part of our DNA processing and so forth. Okay? Where the DNA is, we go ahead and make the mRNA, and it's a process. You have to check it out yourself. I'm going to even go into it. But again, that's methionine. So we got the nines in this here. Back to the same thing with the feminine, as we're still talking about, and that is the feminine, which is actually again within Cancer as water. Be like water, my friend. Which is also that of the 6-9 or the 9-6, because it's basically a 9-6 as a sigil, especially a 6-9 as a sigil, and we rotate that sigil 180 degrees, and we have that of the zodiac sign of Cancer. Okay, so with our word mother, whether it's moo, that your mama is, or moth, you know, or M-O-T-H, like a moth. I don't really like that word and everything, because a butterfly actually turns into more colorful things as opposed to a moth that eats away. So that thing attached to the word mother, I don't even like it for the English thing, but it is what it is. But we're just going to stop and look at that first letter again. That letter again is 13. M starts with a 13. Okay? And as the Earth has been augmented, and believe it or not, PK, you know, as the Americas became, before it was fully enveloped and everything, it was looked upon not just as Turtle Island, but also as an elephant. As an elephant. And eating an elephant, what do they tell you to do? You have to go ahead and take one bite at a time. And so this is what they did. They came up, from Northeast Africa, could actually to even South Africa. You will go ahead and come up the back way there. You're going to come back up through Jamaica, the Caribbeans, and so forth. Even to that backside of Brazil. All right, and for the first place in which they took the bite out of, coming into, after the first 1900-year war, which is Haiti. Okay, 19-year war, which takes out a whole generation. I started the first generation taking stuff out. Okay, in the year 1900, I believe it was. Okay, and then the second one again was Vietnam, 19 years 5 months. Afghanistan, 19 years 7 months. So we're talking generations they took out. But the first place they stepped on inside the Americas was actually in Florida. St. Augustine, which actually was the first month to go ahead and start taking days away from that month, or really wasn't days away from. What it was is they augmented Ophiuchus, the 13th galaxy. They augmented it. And so notice every 19 years they have to go ahead and recalibrate. Just like the 19 years of war that we're sitting up here talking about. Okay? And each of the things, whether it be Haiti, whether it be Vietnam, or whether it be Afghanistan, we're just talking about. Okay? Even that 19-year, it has to be, so it's not really an augmentation of see, February is the only true month. So they took the other days off of Ophiuchus. Okay? Because they didn't put Ophiuchus inside of the 12, it wasn't for the 12 calendar system. Right? And so whether it be the labor, meaning the brown feminine boar pig, right? Or either the pink pig. Right now, they're telling everybody to get back to work underneath Cronus. And it's not that we don't learn in the thing of Saturn, but it's not to be caught with inside of the rings and so forth. Not to be go ring around the rosy every single time, and to where there is no necessarily any learning or elevation and so forth. Right? Even like I said, even Chiron ended up being the wounded warrior and did not even heal his or their, masculine, feminine, their wounds and so forth. And they travel between the rings of that of Saturn and that of Uranus, which is making all of this stuff happen right now as far as the changes and so forth, putting us into these positions. Or not necessarily putting us, but that is the rebellion against to what the norms are. Okay? These established, even how now brown cow. How now brown cow. days, you know? And so this augmentation, you know, of our aunt Tiamat, or ant, and see, ants are good what? Workers. Work, 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 climb on top, climb up. All of this is just oh my goodness. So if we let our minds be augmented, just like we just went ahead and we just put the whole eye socket up there and we didn't think about just putting the eyeball up there, did you? No, you didn't think about that one either. So the thing with all of that right there, because what we're talking about is gold. We understand that melanin is actually higher than that by the cost of melanin is higher than that. But regardless, you know, the head of the Ruth, ROOTH. Okay, and the reason why I told you again, because we're talking about IN is the circle. Okay, root, the head of the Ruth of the truth. Okay, root of the truth, and both of them are spelled with O's, no U's inside of that, because that is the IN. That means fountain. That means spring of what? Of even the water. Even if we close our eyes, what do our eyes do? It tears up. It springs. Hey ho! Back to the hose. Back to the hose. You know, with back to the hose. But we'll get back to the hose in a second. So, anyways, so within that, that's you know, the Albar. You know, the British accredited regency, you know, of royals even, you know, that of Arabia, meaning Albar, meaning the head of the root of the truth. That is the head of the root of the truth right there we're sitting up here talking about. Okay? And in Ivrit, we don't say mother. We say Ima. Ima. Why is that? Because E, again, is the fifth letter, which actually means spirit. Or actually, you know, the word, our word for spirit is nefesh, okay? Soul and so forth, okay? You know, and whether or not I'm hitting it on there, I know you understand my intention, okay? Because even the word soul in reverse is luos, and that right there is actually the Kenyan and Tanzanian group of people, okay, and their languages, and they have many languages in there, but they're still called the luos people. You know, when you put a plural over there, the S, you know, it's actually spelled SOULLOU, and the plural would be S. So, but in Ivrit, we would actually say it's Ima. So Ima, reading right to left in Albania, actually means sent. All right? And the umlaut, meaning two dots, is over the E. The diacriticals are very important when we start getting into languages and so forth, you know? And the next one that I went to that I saw that was inside of there was actually Greek. And it's actually spelled the same way. Amy. A-M-E. Okay? And it means yes. All right? Then we go to the French. A-M-E. And it actually means sheesh. My fault. I want to say fire. I messed up there. I didn't put that one in there. But it was a trigger. It was the trigger. The French was a trigger and everything to that of when I went to started to go learn French at Santa Monica City College, and I met a Korean guy, and he saw me struggling, but he saw me, and I was getting it too. I was getting it, and but he wanted to help me. He wanted to reach in and help me and everything. So he said, "Come on, let's go. Okay, meet me after class and everything. We're gonna go over to my house. We'll go ahead and we're gonna study this night. We're gonna with this next test. You're gonna ace this one. You're gonna ace it, okay?" Because he had a study program and everything all set up. He was cool as fuck. And then we went out and jumped inside of his car, and I'm looking to see what kind of, not really looking to see what kind of car and everything, but I go to look, and he says, "Come on, let's go over here." And so we turn around, and I'm looking, over which way we're going, and his car's right there, and it's this Porsche fucking whale tail and everything. I was like, shit, we're young and everything with the Porsche whale tail. I was like, oh, cool. So we jumped in there, he pulled out the things, and we going down the highway, went up into Brentwood. I'm inside there, studied. We did a line of coke and everything, but we studied. We came back like 2 more days later, studied even before the test and everything, and I did good on the test and everything, and he told me, "Hey, I like you and everything, man. Hey, call me Hung Neem, okay?" And Hung Neem is big brother, out of respect, just like as I was talking about earlier right now, with Bruce Lee when he made Jeet Kune Do. That Kwan is respect for the elder brother. And so the shit was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, I couldn't believe how it was flowing inside of there, And like I say, in the different languages, and it was just wave on top of wave on top of wave and everything. Still talking about right now, because when he said Jeet Kune Do, and then when he said Gung Fu, oh my, I listened to that right there, and that one was the insult to, as we said, this day, I said earlier about, 3 and everything, triad. Oh yeah, as the family unit is a triad. The family unit is a triad, right? Or even that of the pyramid structure. Okay, that triad. Family unit. Water going down, fire going up. And it was actually in the same line and vein of this right here, what we're in right now, and what we're all doing right now, evidently, and it's gonna burn like wildfire, well, cold water, I should say. It's gonna burn like cool water, flow like cool water, because I was not the first one to do this. Gung Fu was the first one, and then but see they didn't understand what Bruce was doing when he did that. See, the G was even that of the Mason. They took that for the Mason and everything, and that is, see, in Ivrit, because if they were using that system of Levi and everything, what was his? I'm not gonna get into the names and everything of them, but I want to say Simeon Levi. A lot of these writers and everything. Anyway, Zayin is the 7th letter in Ivrit. Zayin means that of sword, okay? It means that of spiritual perfection. And it means that of, weapon. It means weapon. All right? And so, basically, in a sense, what he was doing, he did not go into fight or tear down his roots, even as he went back to, you know, the style of boxing in which Wing Chun, in which he went ahead and went back to and did regardless anyway. He was just showing that of a lot of the flaws and everything that could be, that we could correct. We could change. Just the word change. Implement change. And so with the word sword, what did he use? He took the S off and just used the word and changed the letter to gung fu, which is the same thing as the Mason did with the G. All right? What's wrong with that? Was he not a Mason? Okay. Meaning a builder. Not just a K-11 visionary, not just a V English 22 builder. And he really didn't give a hoop rat, about being a 33, not having an all 99, not knowing all 99 and 26 already. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! And then jumping out back again in 1973. Rest in peace. It's a great year. Me papa too. And so that perfection, as they want to give it to him now, still is bad taste probably inside a lot of the triads, which is the gang over there, the triad. And then again, remember I said we're going to, better sheet is 913. So 13 is the letter M, M13, which is the largest. Look, I went ahead and hid phones for M13 too. Went ahead and hid phones for M13 too inside of there. And to have a lot of people, even that, whether it be that we associated, we learn from, any and all of those things. And if we want to go ahead and further, it is this further, which meaning take a sword to some things, meaning because we are serpentine with the S, and the word to go ahead and change them, to not necessarily use the grammar, the grim grammar, or the things in which have been put upon us, but are we not able to go ahead and do a deverbal, okay, do a Morpheus, okay? If we have the matrix and everything, which in Ma got tricks with the matrix, right? Or if we go ahead and say mat, which is calculation of what? The 9. Calculation of the 9 is that of the matrix. So are we not of the matrix to be able to calculate, to add, to take away, to multiply, and to divide, even that of words? So what is the big deal? What is the big deal? everything, and I know he did a lot of things. I'm cocky on, and I guess he was that cocky too with a lot of things because it was not a thing of disrespect, but it's a thing of being able to be sovereign, and speak, and even there was so many parallels, like again, I started off this thing talking about being a hoe, but even that of his mother, Grace Ho, she was brilliant. She did the exact opposite of what Mama Primorosa Mama did. Okay, she did the exact opposite. She knew that he was an American. So when they got in trouble with the tribe, they sent him back on over here. And they came later, I believe, from what I understand. I might be wrong. But she sent him over here. And then he began. And then later on, they had to go back. Or either prior when they had to go back over there the first time, he said, they told the people over there that she had English inside of her in order to get back in over there. And so this is thinking. This is thinking here. Mi mama Rosa, whether she be, she did not want none of them motherfuckers to have nothing that was in that damn will, because that's what I found out at the end. Everybody was pissed the fuck off because Grandma Ethel, which again, back to Bruce, they share the same. He transitioned, and this is a parallel within the waves. He transitioned on 7/20, which is July 20th, 1973. She was born on 7/20, which September truly is the 7th month, on the 20th in Libra, and he transitioned in that of Kalima, Cancer, 7/20. So they didn't just do a 360; they did a full 7/20, in this interpolation right there. Okay, and that was her birthday. That was his exit. And I'm tripping because, like I said, his mother was German, so therefore, even though he looked more Asian, he still has German in him. And even that right there, this goes back to, like I said, everything goes back to, even in Deutschland right now, okay, again, to the Rot and Schwabach, back to the AU, okay, which Schwabach is known for what? AU, number 79, gold. Right next to what? The city of Schwabach, Rot, which comes from who? The 5 Rothschilds. I think Solomon Rothschild is where the Book of Solomon even comes from, believe it or not. So all of these things, and the women and everything, 700 concubine, and a lot of the things, if we go ahead and become Wata, we can flow, and you'll be able to see these things inside of your life too. Even if it's by a name, in which has been bequeathed to you, or that you took on, to become. Got to get this picture of the sun. It's getting pretty cool, man. Down, it's going down, down, shoo-doo-doo. So yeah. And like I was saying, his mother, Grace Ho, and see, with inside of Grace, yes, you have the G race, but you have the word care also, CARE. She took care and sent him, over there. Rosa, I'm not going to say she took care and left us there, but maybe it was the way she had to do it in order for things to come about how it is right now. In order to grab such a big net of fish. In order for this, it's a big net of fish right now. Not just, the F, the feminine for the F, but the ishi, the ish, she cast a big freaking net. But nobody else, none of the other half brothers or siblings, they wouldn't have been able to do it. Matter of fact, they all were scared to death. They were scared to death. To even look me in the eye. That's just me. So imagine everybody who's breathing down their neck and everything. So they just did wimpy, wimpy, wimpy instead of being hefty, hefty, hefty. They got the hefty here, the hefty. That's the hefty, 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 hefty. Of Jeet Kune Do. Of Jeet Kune Do. So that's a lot of respect from Grace Ho. And this is no pun. It's a pun on this, okay? Even though her last name is that of Ho, and she was, I'm not saying she was by any means, but even if one is, at least she was graceful. At least they'd be graceful. A lot of people just straight raggedy. Raggedy, raggedy, raggedy. Raggedy, raggedy, raggedy. But Ho, I remember seeing a TV commercial or TV show and everything, the whole family. I'm not sure it's going to be the same, but this is to give a lot of thanks to all of the Chinese people, particularly right now, and even to the brother, can't remember his name, who called me Hung Nim from Korea. Hey, called me his big brother and everything because he was helping me out. Who came over here and have made a change, and didn't just lay down to the brown. In the we have positive and negative even within that brown. So not just to lay down. No. Because many are called, but few are chosen. And it's very few of us inside of this. It's always been a few of us to go ahead and do what we have to do in order to go ahead and begin these changes, implement them. Going down further. So, so on this Labor Day, it's just made a mad respect and everything. Again, to that, like I said, the feminine, the feminine within each and every single one of us. All right? Even if we go ahead and look at the word, like I say, heritage, right? Or air, okay? We still see, what do we see first? Okay, the H. The H is actually feminine. The H is actually feminine. Yod, hey, wah, hey. Yeah, it's actually feminine. 54 on the clock right there. Yet, for the English here, it's masculine. You know, so whether it be the heir, you know, as whoever is the heir, the true heir, okay, to the throne, which is Nun, okay, back to the 14, back to the 5, and the fish, and even that of the heritage. It's a masculine in there before it gets to the R, okay, to make it her, as in he and she. So all of these things right here is what swole up, made me go around these big icebergs, these big walls of ice, in order to go ahead and see a few things that we all have partaken, you know, part in, knowingly or unknowingly. And so, whether again you want to call her, I mean, he gave it, when the Greek came, gave it Gaia, you know? So, whatever it is that you relate to as the planetary, you know, this mud here, in which we are made of right now, whatever it is that you call it, then be respectful and give grace to it. Give grace to it, as it has given grace to us. And that, we're not talking about a G race either. We're not talking about that G race, okay? Or G Ra, conformite urapine. We're not talking about that. You know? And if you can't figure it out because of the verbiage, because of the English language itself, it's all right, because I know that you know that I know that you know what I'm talking about. So there's no need to play dummy too much longer. There's no need to play dummy for too much longer. All right. So, my friends, everything comes to an end. But we're not going to go ahead and say things like that, because all we have to do is lift the vibration up, transcend it. Okay? All we have to do is lift the vibration up and transcend it. And I thank all of my mothers, and I thank all of my hangnim, my kwan, my teachers, my haters. We still gotta say, I can't let that one go. The Joker stay 50 smiles ahead of him. 50 smiles ahead of him. Because, man, oh man, oh man. And woman, oh woman, oh woman. Oh child, oh child, oh child. Honey child, what the hell like they love? Child, honey child. Child's too, shit. Cray, fucking cray. And you all go ahead and enjoy your day. The rest of it, enjoy your Labor Day weekend with your peoples, your sheep, your dog, your cat, your slaves, or whatever it is, you know, or whomever it is that you go ahead and relax with. As if it's a relaxing day. It might be a ritual day, you know? Day of ritual, which might be relaxing for you. Who knows? Who knows? Some people, everybody got different jobs and everything, you know? Like some people got people that pull the teeth out and everything, you know what I'm saying? Dentists and everything, you know? Even, you know, they got different jobs even on those assembly lines. But they might love it. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, have a good time. Just be safe, no matter what. All right, you guys take care. Ciao, ciao.